Hey, you guys, I am back to do another recap review on Unlock Family Secrets. Now, when I tell you, if you haven't watched this episode, you got to watch it. It is so weird. It is so weird. And it involves one person that was in Hollywood that I found very, very weird. This man married an 18-year-old, met her on a date and ended up marrying her a year later. She was 19, he was 41. We're going to get into that. That's not even what this unlock was about. So if you're brand new to this channel, you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Comment, like this video. Definitely like it to get it up in the algorithm. And if you're brand new here, y'all, please forgive me. My voice is going through a transition because I had a surgery on my thyroid. And so my voice is going to, go back to a place of normalcy. But right now, it's still going through what it got to go through. So, y'all, this is called The Daughter's Secret. Now, y'all, when it first started, I was like, okay, so you gave your child up. You know what I'm saying? Like it kept getting worse and worse the more you watch it. But I was like, oh, okay. So, like that's what this about. Oh, this not finna be that good. But I was incorrect. Now, this is Dr. Zoe Shaw. Now, when it first started off, she's talking about, this could be her karma for what she did when she was a teenager. So they were showing her actually giving birth to one of her children. And her child ended up, being birthed with a disease. And so she was thinking that, hey, this is to get back for what she did as a teenager. So just give a little backstory. She grew up, these were her parents. She really and truly grew up with a strict Christian background. They, I guess, believed the Bible through and through. They had a certain image as far as being a black family. So they had a certain image. They cared about what other people thought. And they just wanted to uphold this image. And you know what? I don't know. Now that I think about it, I don't know if the Cosby Show had an impact on what they wanted people to perceive as the perfect black family. They had to make sure their academics was up to par. They had to make sure that everything was perfect. Like they dressed the part. They didn't go out in public looking any kind of way. They had to really and show black excellence. They had to show black excellence. So that was a part of their background. That's how they grew up. So as I'm talking, I'm thinking like did the Cosby Show, because as Zoe is talking, it seemed like we are about the same age. So that was when the Cosby Show was very popular and everything. So I don't know. So those are Zoe parents, and she has two siblings, so a total of three. Now, they also showed Zoe with her actual kids, and I didn't get a picture of it because they kind of ran it so fast. But yeah, so now she currently has 5 children, and she just talk about how she's been holding this secret for a long time. And you know, to this day, I mean, well, we'll find out later that she was able to freely talk about it. But yeah. So anyway, so now just give a little backstory of who she met, a guy named Vinny. So Zoe is like 15 years old. She met a guy named Vinny. He was 18. She got pregnant by Vinny. Now, let's I mm, God, Jesus. Now, I'm just trying to figure out why her parents thought it was okay for her to be with a man that was in college. He was 18. She said he was in college. She was, I guess, 15 years old, and she ended up getting pregnant. Now, having sex before marriage was like, you don't do that. You know, their Christian household, I guess they trusted that their daughter would be with a 18-year-old. You're 15, and I guess they thought you wouldn't have sex with this man. Mm. Okay then. So once she found out she was pregnant, she was like, you know what? I ain't gonna be able to keep this baby because I got too much stuff going on. I got good academics, and I cannot tell my parents. Like, I cannot tell my parents. Absolutely not. So she decided that, you know what? I'm just gonna eliminate this child. Vinny picked her up from school and they went to the clinic to have it done. She sat on the table and she ended up taking a blue pill. Now, I was saying, was the blue pill, now that I'm thinking about, was that pill that she took, you know what I'm saying? Like, gonna start the process, or did she say it was to relax her or something like that? So she took the pill, she got on the table, and she was just like, you know what? I can't do this. So it was like something inside of her was just like revolting. And so she jumped up off the table and she left. So she just continues, just like, you know what? I'm gonna hide this pregnancy. Now, mind you, she was in track. She was very, very um into her academics. So she hid it for a while, and to one day her mom noticed that, you know what, are you pregnant? And she couldn't deny it no more. So her mom was like, listen, come on, we finna go somewhere. Get in the car, let's go. So she went and took her to the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, she pregnant. So her mom was like, you know what, you can't have this baby. Absolutely not. You cannot have this baby. We got to do something. So she ended up taking her to a place where they house unwed mothers, like teenage mothers and stuff like that. And, you know, like I said, I think me and Zoe were around the same age. Of course, I probably wouldn't even paying attention to stuff like this, but this was, I guess, advertised on television. It's like a Christian organization. Jerry Falwell, never heard of him, but they end up taking in unwed mothers. You live there until you get ready to have your child. Once you have your child, then they find a family to adopt your child. Now, I don't know how I feel about it, but I would say this: whether you believe in the deleting a child or not, I would say that this right here is proactive in helping a person that does not want to, keep a child. So if you believe in pro-life, if that's your thing, like pro-life, because a lot of people can believe in pro-life, but then also we got to have a solution for it. So if you was like, well, I don't believe in, deleting a child. Okay, so if you don't believe in that, then once this person has this child, this adult, young adult, teenager, whatever, then what's the solution after it? Now, I would say that it seemed to be a very positive solution for it. You know what I'm saying? Other resources to be in place, because you can't just say, hey, I'm pro life. And then after they have it, then what? They go out here and abuse the children, like we have seen in the news, tie them up in the basement, don't feed them, do all of this stuff because they aren't fit to be a parent. So I thought this was very interesting. So she ended up taking her there, and Zoe had that baby there at that place. Now, the mom and dad was like, listen, to the siblings, your sister went off she was having mental health issues. Listen to the lies, y'all. Your sister having mental health issues, honey, so she gone to a mental facility to see about her health. I was like, oh my goodness. But she told her children, anybody asks you, honey, just tell them that your sister went off to boarding school. And I think it was a rumor that went around saying that Zoe was pregnant. And one of the sisters found out, the sister told the mom, and the mom was like, that's a lie. You deal with her. I don't know if she meant beat her up or what. It's interesting how these parents, and I'm not gonna say so-called parents, but these parents lied after lied after lie after lie, only to protect their children or their reputation academically. And maybe also, I think not to be a statistic as far as teen pregnancy, and all of that stuff. I can see some stuff, but then it's like it went too far, way too far in my opinion. Because it's like they was just holding on to this perfect image of the perfect family. Look at the Cosby Show. Cosby Show wasn't real. Not saying that you can't have a black doctor and a black lawyer with children that are doing good, but in families there's going to be some level of chaos, you know what I'm saying? No perfect parents, no perfect children. So you can't depict your life off of the Cosby Show. It is not reality. And I don't know if Zoe parents are fully, fully American, like African American, I want to say, fully black. Like they seem to be mixed with something. Now, if I was probably to do some digging or whatever, whatever, they could be mixed with something that somewhere in their culture it's okay to marry older, like arranged marriages and all that stuff, whatever. It's okay to marry to send your daughter, your teenage daughter, with an older man, your teenage daughter get married to an older man. Maybe that's okay in their culture. Maybe that's okay. But to have a pregnancy outside of wedlock is death. It is hell. It is damnation. It is absurd. It is horrific. So maybe that's their mentality. I think she said her parents met when they were 16 years old. They ended up getting married. I don't shortly after. She said by the age of 21, her mom had 3 children. So I'm so glad that I think, and I would think that Zoe, like, I don't know, maybe she's seen all of this and there was an awakening for her. So now let's move on. While she was in this facility, her mom wrote her and basically said, if you decide to keep this baby child, you can just cut all ties and I ain't gonna be able to do nothing with you. Like, you cannot keep this baby. If you decide to keep this baby, you will no longer have a mother. Imagine how horrible Zoe felt. It's either your baby or your mom. She basically said, I ain't gonna talk to you no more. Y'all, when I tell you, this was a doozy. I thought it was just about, you know, her giving her child up for adoption and she trying to find out something like that. I had no idea. It was this intertwined. So of course, Zoe did what she was a freaking teenager, what she had to do. So she went ahead because she didn't want to. Look how she looked at that picture. She wanted to keep her child. That's why she got off of the table. So she ended up giving her child up for adoption. And she said the way it worked is you look through this photo album and they have parents that are ready to adopt a child. And so in here, this photo album, it has the parents, it has all about we a loving family, we go to church, yada yada yada, whatever they said in there. So she flipped through there to try to find parents for her child. And she said her mama would have never flipped through an album to try to find a babysitter for her. So why does she have to do stuff like this? Like it's so what's the word? It's not intimate at all. So she ended up finding parents for, I forgot she called the child like Bria, Kayla, something. So she ended up finding parents for them. So when her mom picked her up, she was like, okay, bam, boom, that's over, child. Act like that don't exist. Her mama bought her a brand new car. And I think she said the back of the tag said Sprinter or something like that, Sprint, something like that. So basically, because she was in track, so Hey, now it's time to get back to business, honey. You done dropped that baby, blah, 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 blah. Ugh. So Zoe, um, oh yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm just trying to read over my notes here. Where she was saying to picking up parents for the child of the book, da 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 da. Mm, held on, and she remembered that. Okay, yeah. So yeah, she remembered that, she couldn't keep the child and all that stuff, whatever. But she did keep memorabilia of her child. And she had a locket for her and everything. So let's see. So yeah, her mama got her the car. It was a two-seater, which meant, yeah, you definitely weren't taking that child home. That was like intentional, you know, like one no back seat. You even had a child in the front seat. So yeah, it's a two-seater. So Zoe told her brother, you know what I'm saying, what had happened and stuff, and showed her pictures and everything. And he couldn't believe it. He could not believe that my sister went off and had a whole child. Now her sister, her other sister, her younger sister, I think she was the younger sister, she ended up finding out about it. But she said she never said a word. So during that time, she came back, like I said, running track, doing all the things. Now she ended up breaking up with Vinny. She graduated high school, but she thought that Vinny would ask to marry her and everything. So I'm gonna put Vinny. She thought that Vinny was gonna ask to marry her, but he didn't. And she said that she thought that it was kind of funny that she felt like Vinny did not fight for her on keeping this child, like fight to keep the child alive. Child, little did we know, honey. We the people, honey. Like I said, it gets worse and worse, honey. Little do we know this daddy had threatened Vinny and said, listen, you're not finna, this child not finna mess up my daughter's life. So you're not even finna fight her in this process. Because if you do, I'm going to charge you for RAP, statutory RAPE of a minor. Okay. So Vinny had no choice but to follow her parents' guidance in this. Because mind you, they didn't want their child to have a baby, but they didn't care that their child got married or was dating somebody that was a quote unquote an adult, and she's still a minor. And that's how calculated I know it was, because the daddy said, if you say something, meaning calculated, meaning he went back, they know that this man was too old, according to the laws, too old to be with this child. So yeah, so she broke up with him 3 weeks after she graduated and everything. And she completed track. I think they was doing some kind of tournament or whatever. I don't know if she was going to college or whatever. But anyway, she ended up going to Hollywood. So let me see. She ended up going to Hollywood, and yeah, that's the baby. Ain't she cute? No, why she looked like my granddaughter when she was little. So she ended up meeting this man in Hollywood. She ended up meeting him, and his name is Stan Shaw. And I don't know if y'all remember him from Harlem Nights. But yeah, so she ended up meeting him, and she went up there and got his autograph and everything. She was so excited and stuff. And he asked her out on a date. Mind you, the girl is 18 years old. He's 41. 41, y'all. This was in 1989, the Harlem Nights. It probably was, it could have been around now. It probably was the time where he was hot around that time. Because if she was about, yeah, it's probably some years later with, because this man was hot. Like if I see him on the street, I don't think I'll be trying to ask for his autograph, because I really truly don't know what else he acted here and there. But I think Harlem Nights really made him like that pop at that time. So he asked her to to marry him the first date they went out? And she said yes. She said yes because now she can have sex without feeling some kind of remorse for it because now she's married. And then also yes because I think she wanted to get away from her parents' control. Oh, and she said that her parents was very supportive. Once again, they didn't want her to have this child, honey. Y'all did everything to prevent from having this child. But then y'all go over here and say, oh, but yeah, honey, you can marry a man that's probably her parents' age, honey. That's okay. Like I said, I don't know her parents' background, their culture, what they believe in, what they feel is right, but they let her do it. But she was like, you know what, now that we together, honey, because they got married a year later. She was like, and look how young she when they were showing pictures, he just looked like that's his daughter. Like he looked like her dad. On all the pictures they were showing and he look ain't no way this look like, oh, this just no, it looked like he's dressed up to be the father of the bride, not this being his bride. That's highly weird for you, child. That's highly weird for you, honey. So she was like, you know what? I got to tell him that, I got a child out there. Like, I got a child out there. And he was like, oh, okay. Guess he didn't really care. Like, we finna go and find her. We finna go, nah, 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 nah. He was like, okay. And as long as you here for me, I guess. Uh, so during this process, of course, she ended up having children with him. She had her first child. She had a second child. She ended up having total of four kids with this man. So she said that she always kept the memorabilia, the crochet, all the things concerning her first child. So she said that she always wondered like that child stayed on her mind. Like she always wondered where's my firstborn, where is she? I wonder what she doing. It haunted her. Even when she got back in track, she was like, I'm out here in track. I'm no longer a mom. Like I'm supposed to be a mom, but I'm no longer a mom. I'm up here running track. I'm back to just like nothing happened. But little did she know that her firstborn was looking for her. And so Sarah was raised by her parents and she was spoiled. She said that's what the name Sarah means, spoiled. Look how pretty she is. Like them with that olive skin, y'all, is so pretty. And so she said she didn't find out she was adopted till she was like 13 or 14 years old. So she ended up finding this little box in her mom's room under her bed, and it had all the things, concerning Sarah. Now, I know Zoe said in that first year after she gave her child up for adoption, I guess it was like mandatory that the new birth parents wrote the you know their pregnant mom to let them know, hey, everything's going good. We da 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 da. We enjoying each other. Here get some pictures, and they wrote each other for a year and sent pictures. But after that year, I guess they stopped. They have to stop. So Sarah ended up finding some memorabilia and everything in her mom's room in this box, and she ended up finding a letter that had Vinny name on it. Now, back then, of course, everything was paper, child. So they ended up the letter that was written, but it ended up blacking out his last name. But she said the last name wasn't blacking out good enough. You could hold it up to the light and you could still see what it said. And she said his name was Brown. So she went searching and ended up finding somebody, I think on Facebook, and ended up connecting with Vinny. And Vinny was like, oh, I think this is my daughter. And Vinny ended up calling Zoe. And it was on then. He had on the phone. I think Vinny and Sarah ended up meeting in person, and then they called Zoe and had on the phone. Zoe flew out to Vegas. I guess they both flew out to Vegas, I don't know. And they ended up meeting for the first time. And y'all, they just like, when I tell you Zoe and Sarah, when I tell you the genetics, like they look so good. Zoe, child, she ain't changed. She still look like she did at almost as a youth or a young adult. Like her skin is impeccable. And she's a freaking grandmother. But anyway, so they ended up connecting and built a relationship. And the mama, oh, the mama still did not know, child. The mama still didn't know. But she ended up finding out about, hey, we found Sarah in the picture, all that stuff, whatever. And so the parents, grandparents, Sarah grandparents, ended up going to the Roadhouse Steakhouse where she was. You know what I'm saying? And I guess ended up getting to know her while I guess she worked there some. Ended up getting to know Sarah and everything. Suddenly, the dad had a heart attack and he ended up passing away. Now, mind you, at the dad, Zoe, like the family still didn't know. Sarah was still a secret. I think she said 40 years or something had passed by. Sarah was still a secret. And so Zoe was like, well, she ain't finna be no secret no more. Zoe told her husband and said, listen, I'm telling everybody. I'm not finna keep this girl no secret at no funeral. Like she got to come to her granddaddy funeral. And she's not gonna be no secret. So she ended up, when everybody got back to the house, I think she told her mama that I'm gonna tell everybody. Her mama was, didn't have a reaction to it. And like the brother said, it could have been because the mama just was in grief that her, husband had passed away. So she stood her up, when they got back to the house and said, listen, y'all, this is my daughter. I had her when I was 16 years old, and her name is Sarah. And Zoe said that she was just so, like, I guess, nervous about it. So she did it and she walked away. And Sarah sitting up there by herself, like, hey. And everybody was shocked because they looked at them as being the perfect parent, the perfect family. Like I said, the perfect family. Child, there is no such thing as a perfect family. I hate family secrets. I'm finna go on a little small tangent. I hate family secrets. And I've said this repetitively. I purposefully did not tell my kids stuff because of a secret. Bunk your secret. My kids need to know. Even to the point when I was married to their father, because I had known him since I was in high school. And so when I was married to him, later during the marriage, he ended up getting a child or two or three or four right now. He ended up getting a couple of kids outside of our marriage. One, I made sure my children knew their sister. I made sure. I brought her over hey, you're gonna come over to the house, integrate with your brothers, da 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 da. It was very hard for me. Very hard. Very painful. But I did it on behalf of my kids because I wanted them to know their sibling. They got a chance to meet their other sibling. So I did my part in making sure that they know they have another sibling out there. I don't know if they met that one, but I did my part in what I could do. So they wouldn't have family secrets. So you will know, hey, you got a sibling over here, you got a sibling over there, you got siblings out there. Y'all ain't the only two. So I hate family secrets. I recently, I would say a couple of years ago, found out a family secret that I had no clue about. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think I told somebody, I said, I don't like family secrets. Why don't y'all just speak and tell people? Back in the day, the generation before me, they believe in, well, stay in this house. Well, stay in this house, stay in this house. We'll go on in this house, stay in this house. And that's not just like in the house per se, it's in the family. Well, some stuff you need to tell the generation next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation. Child, I probably told my children too much, too fast, too soon. Oh well. Oh well. I wanted them to know. So the family was shocked, like I said. In 2023, Zoe ended up divorcing Stan. I don't know what she waited so long for. She had a bunch of children. This man, I don't know what the deal was. They got a divorce, honey. He probably looking just like that picture. They ended up getting a divorce. Sarah said that she got her own family, honey. So Sarah got her own family, honey. She got, let me put this picture in there. She got 4 kids herself. That's who she's trying to take out her mama, grandma, or somebody, honey. That's a lot of children, honey. That's a lot of children. So yeah, she got 4 kids herself. She's been married for 11 years and everything. So she's built her own family. And Sarah said she didn't complain about the way she grew up because she grew up with a nice family. You know, thank God. Doing the grandmama, that's the grandma over there next to the man in the blue child. I guess grandma got her a man now, child. So that's the grandmama. The mama that was, I would say mama and daddy, but the mama probably really was behind a lot of the, hey, you finna give her for adoption. Hey, you finna do this. Hey, this finna be a secret. Hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that. All that stuff or whatever. So she said, Zoe said that she doesn't feel the need to, I guess, understand how her mama felt and everything like that. Like, she probably gonna get no straight answers, out of her. Why she did what she did. But I would like to know because I think it could have been her upbringing, you know. And Sarah said, she's not mad at her grandmother. I think she said she's giving her some grace in that area because one thing she does is she calls and checks on them and everything. So, she said life has been good for her. So that's Sarah husband over there behind her, and those Sarah 2 kids next to her daughters, and those Sarah 2 daughters over there, and then that's the brother in the orange. And then I guess Zoe got her boyfriend or Hope Dealer, honey. I don't know who that is, child, but yeah. So y'all, this was a hot mess. It kept going uglier and uglier and uglier. Like I said, it's easy to pawn your daughter off on an older man, but she could not dare have a child at 16. But like I said, Sarah lived a good life. Thank God that Zoe picked a good family for her. She lived a good life, seemed like she was spoiled. She had all the things, which is a blessing. But those two are mother and daughter, and they do not look like they look like they could be siblings. Like I said, Zoe is in the white. Her daughter that was given up for adoption is in this tan color. Y'all, that was a lot. But yeah, that actor should be ashamed of himself. I'm gonna be honest. Absolutely ashamed of himself. And they stayed married a long time. She ended up having 4 kids that one of them looked just like him. Gee. So, y'all, that was a lot. Ooh, honey, this was a good unlock, I must say. It was very good because it was juicy. But yeah, so Zoe got her own podcast. I think she wrote a book. She's helping other people to, I guess survive family secrets. But y'all drop down in the comments, let me know your thoughts and opinions. And on that note, I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to go God and let God go with you. Deuces.